The next project for the Ms. Pac-Man machine is to replace the edge connector. I found that when I move the wires near the ground on the edge connector, I can either make this AC hum bar that's kind of going across the screen go away, or come back. So the thing I'm going to do is replace that edge connector. So on the game board, the edge connector I'm talking about is this part right here. This black piece is the part that's going to get replaced. I've already put a new fingerboard on, and that has helped significantly, but the next thing to do would be to replace this edge connector here. What happens is when I wiggle these outside wires, that's when I can get that AC hum bar to come back or go away. So obviously there's just a loose connection inside there that's causing it, so I'm going to go ahead and replace that. So you're going to need a few things to replace the edge connector. Obviously you're going to need a new edge connector and some pins. You're also going to need some sort of way to crimp the pins onto the wires, as well as some wire strippers, and then some little wire snips to cut the wire off the harness. One thing I recommend doing before you get started is labeling one side parts. So that way you know which side is going to be the front. Parts just indicates to me that that's the parts side of the PCB and the front of the board. And keep kitty cats out of Ms. Pac-Man's so they don't get electrocuted. Another thing that I like to do is take a look at the wire bundles that are there. I've got 3 key wire bundles here that go into the harness. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many wires I have in each one, just to make sure that I have enough pins when I replace that, because when you look at this, we're not going to be putting a pin into every single slot. There are a couple that don't have any pins in it. For example, this one right here doesn't have a pin in it. The one down on the bottom doesn't have a pin on it. There's a few more over here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to count how many I don't have pins for, and then just double check. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that do not have pins. And this is a 44 pin connector, so I'll just subtract that and make sure I've got enough. So here are the strip of pins that go into it, and what I'd like to show you is that there are 2 kind of clamping areas on each pin. There's the part closest to the pin here, and then the part in the back. The part in the back clamps onto the wire, the insulation of the wire, and the part on the front clamps around the actual strips of copper there. So you have to clamp down both sections to make that work. I double checked how many pins I've got. I have a strip of about 44, so that means I have room for a few mistakes, but hopefully not too many. Next up is the edge connector. When you're looking at this thing, there's 2 sides to it. This side here with all the different boxes, this is where the wires go in. And then on the other side, this is the side that actually connects to the edge. Notice that there is a gap running through the middle here. That gap helps you to indicate that that's the side that's going to connect to the edge of the board. So it'll be going on like that. One thing I suggest doing is, before you even get started, is labeling what side is what. So I'll make this side, this is the top, I'll make this side my parts side. That way we can be consistent between the 2 edge connectors. And there we go. So now I can go ahead and start clipping wires. So when I do this, I'm going to work from one side to the other. I'm going to work from left to right. I'm going to do 1 wire at a time. That way I can keep track of where I've been and what I've got to do next. So as I look at this, I'm actually going to start here in the front with this wire right here, right on the front left side. So I'll clip that, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave a little bit so I can see what color it is, just in case I ever need to match things up down the road. So I'll go ahead and I'll clip that first wire. So I've got that wire clipped. In worst case scenario, I can always reconnect that if I absolutely had to, because there's enough there. Not much, but just enough. Next thing to do would be to strip this wire back and put our edge connector on. I don't need to strip back a lot, just enough. So we'll go ahead and we'll strip this wire back. Alright, so that's stripped. That's probably just about enough. This is probably about less than 1/4 of an inch there. And that should be good. Now I'll go ahead and I'll rip off a pin and I'll clamp that on. So I've gone ahead and I've slid the pin on just to show you. It doesn't need to go on very much, and you can see why we don't need to cut that wire back very far. So I'll put that in and I'll try to hold this in place while I clamp it down, and this is going to be the most time consuming part. So I'll use my crimpers here. I'm going to use the B side first to crimp down on the wire part. And hopefully we can do this without dropping it. Okay. There's that one. And just so you can see what it looks like, that first part got crimped down. Then we'll come back and we'll do the outer part that crimps onto the wire. And there we go. What I like to do is just check real quick, give it a little tug to make sure that it's holding. Then we'll take our new edge connector, and remember we were going front left, and because of this pin, the teeth here, this is the flexible part, those are all going to be pointing inward. So we'll go ahead and I've got them both lined up. I'll go ahead and I'll pop this in. And it clicks in place. There we go. The first one is done. Now to just continue down the line and do the rest. Alright. So it's kind of a pain in the neck to do. But so this time I'm going to try crimping the wire end first around the insulator. I'll do, the A side on here. I think that'll actually be easier to get a hold of. So let's see if I can do it this way. I will put my pin in and hold it there. So I've got the pin there. Get it to focus. Alright, so I'm holding it with the A side, the bigger part that goes around the wire. I'm going to put that in there. I'll go ahead and I'll crimp the wire part down. Okay. And then I'll come in and crimp it around the non-insulator part. And there we go. It's not pretty, but that will work. And you can see why it's so time consuming to do. But you go through and you do this for every single one and you'll be good to go. Alright, so here's the new parts. As you can see, I'm wearing off the P. Looks kind of like an F. Almost looks like it says farts or arts. Anyway, I'll redo that. But I want to draw your attention to the first gap here. So I've done a few, And if you look closely, you can see that there is a gap on the opposite side of that wire there. So I'm going to not do that one. I'm going to jump straight to this blue and red one. And even if we check on the bottom, we can see that there's a missing pin there and there shouldn't be one there. So, and this is what our current one is looking like. So I've got 8 pins done. I'm going to skip one there so that it matches the same hole up there, and I'll go straight to that one right there. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's stamp off this blue and red one. There we go. And I'm finding that we really don't need much stripped off the end of these wires at all. So I can literally do a very small amount. So just so you can see how much is there, it's really not much at all. So I've done it both ways, where I've put the A side in first and the B side in first. I'm not sure what the right way is to do this. I like putting it in on the B side first. That way I can tell that I'm making a good contact with the actual wire part. So I'll go ahead and I'll slip that in. Okay. We'll go ahead and we'll crimp that B side down. Okay. Now I know that's on. And then I'll come back and I'll do the A side, which holds the insulation. Okay. Now that wire is done. Now I gotta remember, I need to skip one wire, or one hole here, one spot. So this one was skipped, and I'm going straight to the back. So on this new one, I'm going to not put it in that slot there, but I'm going to come and put it in right here. And there we go, that one's done. I'll continue doing the rest, and I'll update you when it is all done. But we're making progress. It takes maybe a couple minutes to do each one, so it is time consuming, but in the end I'll have a nice new edge connector. And this is why you don't leave your arcade machines unattended. Sonny, get out. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. So I just had a next gap that I took care of, and just wanted to show you so that we can compare and make sure that we are checking our work and our progress is matching up. And it is. So I shall continue cutting and putting new pins on and putting them in the new edge and making sure that the cat does not get in. Alright, I'm down to the last wire to do, so I made some progress here. So if we take a look at the bottom of the two edge connectors, you can see that they do match. And I only have the one left to do, which is this bottom one on the right side here. We'll do that and take care of that, and then this will be done. Next thing to do will be to fire it up and see if it works. So here we go. Here's the last wire. Let's cut that off. and put that new piece in. So I found that while doing this, that it was easier to load the pin into the crimper here on the B side. I tried it between the A side and the B side first, and it seems that doing the B side works best first. So go ahead and strip that. I only need to do about a little less than 5 millimeters or so. 4 millimeters works. Let's go ahead and put that piece in. There's the B side. There's the A side. Let's check that. Yep, that's nice and tight, and we'll go ahead and plug this in and be on our way. And there we go. That new edge connector is done, so we'll go ahead and plug that in and see how it goes. Alright, so I've gone ahead and put that new edge on, and so far so good. I can even tell that that new edge feels a lot cooler than the other one did after running for some time, which is a good thing, because that other edge connector got pretty hot there on that ground, which would probably explain why these PCBs for Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man tend to burn up on the edge, on the ground side. So there we go. That's all done, and I'll show you what it looks like. It's been on for a few minutes now, probably 15 or 20 minutes, and played a few rounds, and there we go. It's running, and I don't see much of a wave, which is good. I thought I had one in the beginning, but it seems like after that monitor warmed up, it is a little cool down here in the basement. It smoothed right out. I may go ahead and replace that fuse block anyway, just because I've got it. Might as well do it. So there we go. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. I know I did along the way. And thanks a lot.